So, when I think about it, my life has kind of been this tug of war between hot and cold, between two different climates that I've kind of dragged out my life between. I was born in Bemidji, Minnesota, in the middle of this horrible, horrible blizzard. It's just snowing everywhere and it's absolutely crazy, my parents tell me. So I started out life in this very cold, icy region, but I have no memories of it because when I was 6 months old, my family moved to Birmingham, Alabama. And if you want to talk about heat, that's where you go. Hot weather, it isn't so bad, but when you have hot and humid together, it's really something to be reckoned with. And those are where my earliest memories come from. The hazy memories of those hazy, humid summer days in Birmingham, Alabama, when you'd work up a sweat just going to from your front door to the mailbox and back, have to shower, and it was really, really hot. But I found that when I was taken away from that heat, when I was 7, moved up to Portland, Maine, that it was something I really missed, something I wanted to hold on to, and it was how I identified part of my identity and how I found myself. I knew it should be hot, so even that first summer living in Portland, Maine, everywhere I went I always had on sweater, pants, sweatpants, even in the middle of summer, even on hot days, because I kind of had this weird chip on my shoulder that I had to prove that since I was from Birmingham, Alabama, I guess, I had to prove that I could take the heat, and that nothing anyone pretended was, oh boy, this day is boiling. No, it's cool. I don't even have to take off my sweater. I'm fine. I love the heat. So eventually my parents did break me of that habit, but they couldn't break me of the love I had for the hot days in Birmingham, Alabama. So what they did was they started sending me back down to Birmingham, Alabama to stay with these really, really close family friends we have. Call them my fake adopted grandparents. A couple about 10 years older than my parents. They have no children, and my parents both being immigrants from Ireland, I have no extended family in the region, so kind of picked each other, and my fake adopted grandparents, Ricky and Marianne, in Birmingham, Alabama. So when I was 8 years old, my parents put me on a plane all by my own, and when they look back at the photographs, they don't believe that they let me go, but I just had to go back. I couldn't stay away from that Alabama summer. And for several years I lived my life in Maine, but my real home was Birmingham, Alabama. And it wasn't until I had to leave Maine that I realized the difference that had happened. After all of those years being drawn back to the heat, kind of like a moth just flying around a hot lamp, getting closer and closer, but fluttering back away up to Maine, my parents moved back down to Birmingham, Alabama. And I found that I didn't know what I wanted. That moved away at 7 years old, but it was a place I'd always called home. I only had the foggiest of memories of it, but it was a place that I had been identifying with, and I found that in the time apart from Alabama, perhaps my true home was in Maine. So now what I've got to do for these summers is I've got to come back to Maine, and I've found a job that lets me do that at this camp. So I can summer in Maine, supposedly. It's, you know, you have it made when you can use a season as a verb. So that's just the story of my life between the two polar opposites, between Maine and Alabama, between hot and cold. And I haven't figured out where I belong yet, but maybe I will. So I've got to go make the next part of my story.